Hello, I'm Fran from Beeswax Wraps, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to use our refresher block. So after you've had your wraps for about a year, you'll start to see that they might go a little bit more like fabric. They'll lose their stiffness. So what we then recommend is grabbing one of these blocks and giving it a refresh. First of all, ironing board and an iron, and pop your iron on the highest temperature that it'll go. Then I've just protected the board just with an old tea towel, and then I've got a layer of baking parchment, and what I'll do is you just need to leave sort of an 1 to 2 inch gap all the way around, because as you iron you might find that some of the wax gets pushed out, so you don't want that to go onto your nice ironing board. A grater, so a finer one is a little bit better than thicker ones, and maybe don't use your kitchen one. It might be worth either just getting a second-hand one or just buying a cheap one that you don't mind getting quite waxy. Obviously our wax refresher block, and then you'll need a second piece of parchment which is the same size that you'll put over the top, and then obviously your beeswax wrap that you want to refresh. So now we're going to start grating the wax onto the wrap, and you might find that you don't need it all over the wrap. There might just be certain areas, sometimes in the middle gets a little bit more used than on the outside. So just get your grater, get your block of wax and just start to grate. So what you'll probably find, because we have jojoba oil and pine resin in it, it becomes quite sticky, which is obviously why our wraps are wonderful. But then what you need to do is just pick off the back and then just lay it down. Grating it just allows you, when you iron it, to get a really nice disbursement of wax without having sort of huge chunks obviously all over. So I'm going to do a little bit in the middle, and you don't need an awful lot as well, so these refresher blocks will go a very long way. Right, so I think that's probably enough really for that middle section. So as you can see, I haven't used much of the block to refresh that medium wrap. Right, next step, just going to move that out of the way and bring over my second piece of baking parchment. I'll just lay that over the top, just sort of stick it down a bit. And then obviously the hot bit now, so just be careful as you do this bit. I'm just going to hold the iron on top. Now you do have to be careful because the wax melting point is 60 degrees, so you don't want to hold the iron down for a long period of time on the same spot, because you will then be in danger of burning the wax. So keep it moving, and as you can see all the wax is really melting down nicely there. So I just work it over the whole wrap. There you go, you can almost feel, you'll feel as you run the iron across any bits of wax that haven't quite melted yet. So just keep running it across. So run it over, just make sure you've got all the corners, all the edges, because as that wax melts and you push the iron over, you can actually see little bits of wax pushing out to the edge there. So just make sure you've got all the edges, and then what you'll do, one quick run over, and then you want to be quite quick with this part, and then is just peel back the top layer, and then peel, and what I'll do, just grab the corner, peel it off. This is all sometimes a tricky bit. There you go, grab a corner and then just hold it up, give it a little bit of a waft, and then you can already see it's a lot stiffer than it was. And there you go, there's your really nice, completely refreshed beeswax wrap, and that'll keep you going for at least another 6 months to a year. So we are all about making the most of everything and not throwing it away if you don't have to. So just sort of final top tips or final last thoughts. Keep hold of the baking paper, because you can use that next time you want to refresh your wrap. And also it's got some wax on it, so don't waste that, because that will obviously be soaked up by the wraps next time. Obviously with your block, pop it back in the packaging and keep it safe. And then with your grater, obviously you want to probably clean off most of that, but then to get the final residue of the wax off, just boil a kettle, pop it in the sink, and then just really carefully pour that boiling water over the grater, and it will completely take off all the wax.